Welcome to the MangaReloaded podcast with Matt and Blake. And today, Weekly Shonen Jump America has released kind of a bombshell of news, to be honest. It's
Free.
from now on, yeah, really. From now on, they are going to be releasing every single chapter for free, and they're going to be archiving those chapters for free up to 3 weeks, so you can be like 3 weeks behind and still read the official translations off their website. And then for membership costing $1.99, so $2 a month, you get an archive of over 10,000 plus chapters for, I think that pretty much covers everything they've translated.
Yeah, I would assume so. I mean, I know one of the little fine prints was that it said English translation, so.
Yeah, so that means everything that's already been translated. And I assume there's going to be certain properties they've translated in the past that they can't put up there now due to licensing issues. Like Shaman King has been switched over to Kodansha.
Yeah.
And for Shaman King in specific, I know that they gave the U.S. the go-ahead to release like one last printout of all the volumes before it completely transitioned to Kodansha, but I doubt that you'll be able to read Shaman King.
Probably not. I would assume not. Not that I would mind if you could, but I'd rather doubt it.
Yeah. I'm honestly a little bit curious to find out if canceled manga will show up on this, that they translated but just stopped because the cost of physical printing was too much, such as Gintama, Hitman Reborn. I know there's a couple others. I think Ichigo 100% or Strawberry 100% was one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Not stuff with a lot of readers, but
yeah, I mean it's still something. I mean, I know at first when they announced it, the big question that I had was, it's like, is it just going to be a backlog of weekly Shonen Jump, or is it just going to be Shonen Jump's entire backlog? And from the information that we've received so far, it does actually seem like it's just going to be backlog Shonen Jump, which is amazing.
My initial concern was that it was going to be only archiving what they've done in the digital era of Jump, so like Alpha Age stuff. Alpha Age and forward, I mean. Because I know it's no longer Alpha even now.
Well, I mean, I guess that brings up the interesting point of the fact that this isn't the first time that Shonen Jump has changed the medium which they're going to present their weekly Jump in.
No, this is actually I guess you could call it the third age, or I guess the second digital age would be an apt way to put it.
Yeah.
The thing is, Jump's business strategy has always been about offering its product at the cheapest affordable price. So, like during when it first came out, right in 2003, their big marketing strategy for kids was to make sure that their books were cheaper than most other manga at the time, specifically, but other books in general. The volumes were releasing at $7.99 compared to the average manga at that time was like $8 or even $15, or not $10 or $15, I should say.
Yeah.
And the volumes themselves, the subscription was pretty cheap, and you could pretty much buy an issue of Shonen Jump off the price rack for pretty affordable price, if I remember correctly, for what they were.
I don't know, man. You'd be a better source on information on that one. I've seen your collection.
I think they were like $10, maybe $15. I don't know. Okay. I to be honest.
And then after that, I know what was it, 2012?
In 2012, they switched to Alpha, which was a digital magazine, and it was released weekly instead of monthly. And instead of like shipping it to your doorstep, you just had an account on their website, and you automatically had access to that weekly digital issue and anything else that came out while you were subscribed. But it was impossible, from what I understand, for people to get back issues of the digital alpha era stuff unless they were doing like a sale, or I think they offered some of them on Amazon for 99 cents. So I never purchased any of them. I don't really have any desire to collect digital media.
Yeah.
Unlike
the physical ones.
Anything.
Yeah. Because I know, I think if I recall correctly, the price at that time for when it was alpha was it $2.99 a week or a month? I'm assuming it was a month, but
it was a little more expensive than this new thing is now.
Oh yeah.
Or at least it was about the same.
It was definitely more because I know I was reading the difference that it would make to current subscribers, and I know it mentioned something about how starting effective December 17th, I believe, is when this they officially roll this out to the public. For those who were currently subscribed to Weekly Jump, their cost would be adjusted from the $2.99 that they were paying previously to the $1.99 they're being charged now. And then at the end of their subscription period, because of the change and how it affects people who are already paying for it directly, they'd get 3 free months of it. So that's nifty.
Right. Well, not to be completely pessimistic, but I do see this as something of a desperate act on their part to compete against the Russians, let's say. Kind of like a modern day space race. In that the current illegal scanlation website that is getting the most traction as of right now is Kiss Manga, and from what I understand, their servers are in Russia, and that's why they're like untouchable. I remember after what was that old? There used to be an old website everybody illegally read manga on that got shut down, and after that got shut down, they started shutting down pretty much everything. And they've been pretty good about controlling accessibility of illegal scanlations. But to me, this shift kind of marks they kind of have admitted defeat and are just creating an archive for everybody to have access to. Because you think about it, I've got a collection I'm currently surrounded by of mostly Shonen Jump manga, and it's easily worth over, I don't know, $1,000, $2,000 probably.
At retail value, probably.
And most of them were bought at retail value. And you'd have access to pretty much everything here for $1.99 a month.
There is, I don't know if you saw this, there was one little asterisk. It is not a terribly big deal when you actually think about it. I'm sure there are some people who this is going to be like, oh, that's just not fair. But one thing that I did like is that you can, I think even for free, you can download it. So like if you're using their mobile app, you can download it and read it without having an internet connection. But the catch to that is you can only read 100 chapters per day.
Oh no.
For all of the people who that's going to be the brick wall that stops them. I thought that was interesting, but at the same time, I mean, I feel like assuming all of this is set in stone, and assuming none of this is going to be subject to change once it actually rolls out, I do think that's fairly generous, because I know a lot of the apps, because I have a few apps that you can download manga to, and most of them have a solid wall. You can only read or have downloaded X number of chapters at any given time or per day. So to have access to download 100 chapters per day, that is extremely generous. So I think they're trying to become like the Netflix of manga distribution. This is likely Viz Media's attempt at kind of testing ground for their other brands. So like we might get
other branches within Viz Media's umbrella to come together to form an even bigger like website. I think they're just doing it for Shonen Jump currently because that's where the greatest amount of users are, and the most popular series are under that particular umbrella.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised if in like 2 years or so we're able to read Full Metal Alchemist like this and some other things that are failing to come to mind presently.
One other thing that I was considering when I first saw this, I was like, wow, $1.99 a month. That's pretty cheap. It's like, at first I was thinking, man, are they really even going to be like making anything? But then I guess when you factor in the fact that it's not really even competing with physical content anymore. It's not like, oh, they're going to be stealing sales from the physical. It's like, no, they're fighting just to get people to read manga in general. So
the amount of people that purchase physical copies compared to the amount of people that are following these series via scanlation is just, it's absurd. Now, I know this is anecdotal evidence, but I remember back when I was in the anime club back at university, for a very brief amount of time, there was actually kind of a random poll that was conducted due to a discussion my brother and I started, where they wanted to find out who's actually buying stuff and who literally does not own a single volume of manga, right? And there was about 35 people there at the time, and only 2 people raised their hands for owning any, literally even one physical copy.
And was it you and Sean?
It was exactly, it was us. That was it. Out of like 35. And I know that's just one sample, right? But I don't feel like that's an inaccurate sample.
I mean,
given what I see online, the amount of activity compared to, looking at average sales.
Well, I mean,
via bookstores or Amazon or anything, really.
That's almost entertaining that you say that, because it's not like it's a group of 35 completely random people just in your class. No, it's 35 people who are willingly showing up to the anime club. So these would be, if anything...
they didn't own DVDs either. Let me clarify. It was manga or anime DVDs. You could raise your hand if you owned either.
So
they owned none.
Literally, you picked the most, what you would assume would be the most skewed group towards
very heavy.
The sample, and you still didn't get any positive result. So
yeah, I grew to hate the anime club very quickly. That's probably a story for another time.
Yeah, I have stories like that. But yeah, I think when you factor in, obviously, evidence like that, the fact that most people aren't paying for manga or anime, period. The fact that getting $1.99 a month from people to read manga, current and old, that's more than what they're probably getting now. And I know, I know in that first video that they posted talking about it, they mentioned, when we put out free content, we actually saw a massive increase in readership. So by having, I guess I keep bringing up that $1.99, but I guess it has to be kept in mind that there's going to be free stuff too. The weekly jump is also going to be free, and as you said, it'll be for 3 weeks at a time, so you can go back 3 weeks and it'll still be available to you free. So there's that, as well as those people who would want the backlogged content.
And they're emphasizing that it's going to be very simultaneous with Japan's releases, as it was during this currently, but for their digital issues.
Right.
I think this open accessibility is in response to the rampant amount of people on YouTube and I suppose other social media platforms reacting to these. And if people are going to be reacting, they might as well be reacting to the official translations
Yeah.
and at least promoting their own website, where instead of getting inundated with not safe for work advertisement banners for porn
Yeah.
and terrible freemium games, they'll just get inundated with advertisements telling them to get the subscription for $1.99
Yeah.
so they can get to the archive.
And I think it's worth it. I mean, as I've done a few like videos reviewing different manga related things, and I like to use screenshots of the actual manga, and when your options all have gigantic third-party watermarks in the middle of them, that kind of makes it pretty tricky as well. So yeah, I think it'll, as you said, it'll be advertising for Shonen Jump actually, and it won't be for like all of these third-party illegal scanlation scams.
Yeah, and I think it's safe to say they'll get a few new subscribers at this point. Even going back to my old sample, let's say some of those 35 people will jump on this, right? Assuming so. Now there are some people that are just so cheap, they're always going to go for the free option if it's available. It doesn't matter how shitty the translation is or how long it takes, Assuming some people transition over, let's say if it was 1 out of 10 before was the sample, it'd probably be maybe 8 out of 10 now.
Oh yeah.
Because a lot of them, and I know it's again anecdotal, but in that anime club had Netflix subscriptions. I know they did because they kept complaining about how terrible anime is on Netflix. So they must have had that.
You don't like the live action anime on Netflix? That's not your favorite thing in the world?
Oh, I love the live action Death Note actually, but save that for another discussion too. I mean, it's great. Light just wants to use the Death Note to pick up hot chicks,
Light Turner. I definitely see that. I mean, in this day and age, it really feels like it's just one where we just have all these subscriptions to media. We've pretty much thrown physical content to the wayside for the convenience of it, and I feel like I like also that they're making sure that it's compatible through the app as well. So, which is what most people experience content through today, is through their phones or their mobile devices, tablets, whatever. And so I feel like that in itself is, they are doing everything in their power to make this work. Now, of course, I still have this nagging feeling that once it comes out, there's going to be a catch. I just feel like there's going to be a catch.
I have a couple theories about what's going to happen. I have a couple issues. Well, yeah, I'm going to run down a few of my, not grievances, but let's say apprehensions.
Okay.
In this. First of all, I think the primary issue is that international accessibility. So currently certain countries don't have access to Shonen Jump magazine. I know Germany is one of them. I don't remember any of the others, but I know Germany's one of them, right? And there's enough English-speaking Germans that like to read these series that way, just because there aren't, I don't know, I don't think there's a terribly heavy amount of German releases for these properties. So the second best alternative for a lot of them is English fan subs, or it's not fan subs, scanlations. But I think if they can profit enough, they'll be able to expand their reach, give it enough time. So that's not the biggest issue. Another minor thing is I wonder if the price of physical volumes could possibly go up again. They've already gone up once in my lifetime, because they went from $7.99 to $10.99 on average. I can't remember what the reason for that was, but there was a reason they gave.
Ink's expensive, man.
Yeah, well, and I could see them either printing less runs of the volumes because less people might end up picking it up now that they've just got access to all the chapters in good translation.
Yeah.
Right? I could see that being an issue, so they might not do as many reprints for physical volumes, and the prices for them might go up to what a standard manga volume is, which wouldn't be horrible. But that was their competing method of gathering the largest market share, was that their volumes tended to be a little cheaper than the competition, such as Kodansha. So I could see them raising their physical volume prices up to about where Kodansha sells their volumes now. And then I guess another minor issue is that they're no longer going to be distributing Yu-Gi-Oh cards through the subscription service.
You got to hit really close to home, don't you? That's a real killer for me. I mean, like, what am I going to do without all my fancy promo cards that definitely all are competitively viable and legal, and I don't know what I'm going to do with myself. That's going to keep me up at night probably for the rest of my life. So, thank you for reminding me of that.
As funny as that is to us, there are actually a lot of people subscribed to Jump exclusively for the promo cards.
Yeah. No,
and this is going to actually eliminate some of their actual subscriptions.
Oh yeah.
But I figure it's probably a good decision.
Here's a question that I have, and I legitimately don't know the answer to this question. How were they still doing promo cards even though for the past X years it's been alpha, so it's been online only? Were they just mailing it to people, or?
Yeah, they had access to your address.
Gotcha.
They sent one out every month.
Huh. Nifty.
They had 4 ready to go for the next 4 months, and now they're releasing those promos all at once for one last Yu-Gi-Oh promo push. And then you're not getting Yu-Gi-Oh cards from Shonen Jump ever again.
And they did.
So no more no more bullshit cards like Victory Dragon.
Oh, man, that's a good freaking illegal as heck card. Well, I do remember, again, another fine print thing they wrote is that if you actually do cancel your subscription, if you won't get the Yu-Gi-Oh cards. If you cancel it before you get those cards, they will not send them to you. So worth noting if you're one of those people who's just there for the cards. Wait till you get the cards before you cancel, if you're going to cancel.
Well, with that, I've pretty much hit everything on my list, so unless you've got anything else to discuss.
I think that hits the majority of the high points of it. I mean, I can honestly say I'm planning to go for this. I know.
Actually, I have one more thing I just came to my mind.
Okay.
How do you think this will affect fan subbing communities? Because I know that there's a lot of these I keep calling them fan subbing because I'm thinking about anime. I mean scanlation communities, right? Because there's actually a lot of interesting relationships formed between people meeting to scanlate things online.
I mean, just naturally, I do feel like it's probably going to reduce those communities. I mean, I know, especially for the people who are there for essentially the social aspect of it, I'm sure they're not going to just stop going just because there's a more dependable format. But I definitely do see it reducing a lot of those communities, maybe even getting more of those sites shut down just because no one checks it out. But I guess that then poses the question, are they only rolling this out to the United States, or is this
I think that Shonen Jump is accessible to a couple other countries as well, English speaking countries primarily,
but this program is what I'm asking
mostly
about.
just the US.
But this program that they're putting out right now for through the app and everything. Is that going to be available internationally as well?
I think it's only going to be available to whatever countries the weekly digital magazine was available to.
That makes sense. So
I don't think they're expanding their range in any way.
Doubtful. Okay, so yeah, I do think it'll definitely have an impact on these communities. It'll probably reduce them a bit, at least. I mean, like you said, there's always going to be the cheap people who won't even pay the $1.99, and even then, there are also going to be a lot of people who probably won't even find out that this exists for quite a long time. I guess another thing to consider are like kids who literally can't get it. They either can't afford it or what have you. I mean, I know it's a lot. Everything's a
Their
lot.
Their parents will say no, probably.
Yeah, I know everything's.
They don't get this weird Japanimation thing.
Japanime thing. Yeah, I know everything's a lot more accessible due to technology nowadays. So, I mean, kids can just purchase things through phones, but in general, I do feel like there will still be a demand for the scanlation community. So I don't think they'll go away, but I can definitely see this hitting them pretty hard. And again, I know that's the goal. I'm sure of everything, this is the main thing that Jump wants to get rid of because it's their major competition right now.
Right. I would like it if these communities maybe became directed towards translating more obscure titles. Right. I know some choose to, but a lot of them choose to just keep translating popular stuff anyway because they want to attract a greater amount of people towards their communities, their discussion boards.
Just translates One Piece. It's a surefire.
But with this, it's like that may not. I mean, if this managed to get big enough, I doubt it's going to get that big in like a month or even maybe a year of its release. But give it enough time, this will become the primary resource for reading manga. Currently, I think it's like right now, when they did a poll, about 50%. Oh no, not a poll. Somebody did a analysis on web traffic data, and they found that the amount of traffic towards Kiss Manga and the amount of traffic towards Viz Media and other official sites is actually about the same. So it's like 50-50.
So yeah, I that is a really good point though, because I am thinking that again, it's just going to be like specific Shonen Jump series. So it's not going to be like, oh, this is going to be your end all be all for all manga ever. It just stuff that's been officially Englishly translated. So that still leaves a lot of series that don't fall under that umbrella. So I guess that's
I definitely think Viz Media is going to expand this model to its other brands once this proves to be successful. And then Kodansha will likely follow suit. And that's the two
big ones.
Way biggest companies right there. And then, I don't know, maybe Dark Horse will just keep doing whatever it does.
Yeah, Dark Horse has just kind of always been the wild card, so they're probably going to just continue to be the wild card. So yeah, that is our thoughts on this new Shonen Jump free manga. So what are your thoughts out there? Leave some comments down below. Are you planning to subscribe to this? Are you a current subscriber? What do you think of this? Is this going to change whether you keep your subscription or not? How important are promotional Yu-Gi-Oh cards to you? Leave those down in the comments below. If you like this, be sure to give us a thumbs up. And please subscribe. We're planning to make this a regular, ongoing, hopefully weekly podcast.
MangaReloaded podcast signing out. Bye.
Bye.